Ladies and gentlemen, the staff of the Equine Affair welcomes you to the 28th Annual Equine Affair Expo in Columbus. We'd like to thank U.S. Equestrian for generously sponsoring the Taft Coliseum this week. At this time, we'll invite you to kindly silence your mobile devices for the duration of our upcoming clinic as we welcome into the Coliseum once again, Guy McLean. Today, Guy McLean will present the qualities of the lead horse, introducing the young horse to a finished horse to learn leading from horseback and to being ridden. Guy McLean is a self-taught Australian-born horse trainer and teacher who possesses an uncanny ability to entertain an audience with his magnetic personality, authentic bush poetry, quick wit, cracking stock whips, and almost supernatural connection with his horses. Through a complete love of horses and a burning desire to find better ways of building relationships with horses, Mr. McLean has developed his own training methods to ask the horse to do a job as a partner. He's won multiple colt starting championships in Australia and America, is a two-time Australian bush poetry champion, and was recognized as ambassador of the Outback in 2002 and in 2006. While maintaining a home base in Australia, Mr. McLean now travels throughout the United States to perform and present at prominent equestrian events, including the World Equestrian Games, the National Rodeo Finals, Dressage at Devon, the Washington International Horse Show, and major equines and expo fairs like the Equine Affair. He has also produced an educational DVD series to share his training approaches and philosophies with riders of all disciplines. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Guy McLean.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you so much everyone for coming in today. Just by way of a round of applause, who has been here all 3 days with the young ones? I really appreciate you all. Quite often this happens at an event where on the final day there's very few people to watch. The final day is where we obviously get the most done because we've been working towards something. But it's going to be quite good for him because yesterday was a big crowd and it was really quite worrying for him. And you know, there's going to be a day where he needs to handle that if he becomes an ambassador to the breed and goes to major shows. But it'll be lovely to be able to focus with him. I had a plan, like I always do when I work with young horses, and like they always do, they have a plan also, and we have to work on trying to meet them in the middle. So I love to bring out my finished horses on day 3 or day 4 normally at an event. I only got 3 sessions with this horse in the training. I did get a little bit of probably a 15-minute lead off of this horse on the first day when he came in, but normally I have 4 sessions before I'm riding to riderless and working my Liberty team. But with him, I just want to make sure that his foundation is quite solid. He's going to go back and rest for a little while, and then the lovely lady who had actually adopted him out because he is a Mustang, she's going to help with the training and take this beautiful boy forward to a great future. So I just want to make sure that the foundation stuff is there. And it's been very important to me right from day one because there's so many different ways to start horses. But if we start them by climbing on them and riding them until they stop bucking, what we do with that is every time a horse has a break, when you train that way, you basically have to be prepared for a bronc ride after every break. So all my horses, the way I start them, I try my very best to have them ride off like this little horse did. You know, whether it be the help of a young man like Lucky or whether it be myself, I want the worst thing to happen to be a little bit of a forward run like he did yesterday, or a little bit of a leap in the air, but not a throwdown fight when the horse is trying to see who's stronger. Because if we do it that way and we leave them 6 months, when we come back the horse says, what did my first ride look like? If it looked like a rodeo, quite often it will come back that way. You'll often hear people say, oh, I better start doing my stretches. I haven't ridden old Neddy for 6 months and he's going to buck. If you started him without him bucking, he shouldn't buck after a 2-year break. All my horses after COVID, they came back in after 2 years. I went back through all the things that I did to start them, and instead of taking 45 minutes like it does, it took me 5 minutes, and they were all riding bridleless and saddleless and doing great things after a 2-year break. So if the foundation is solid, they'll always return to that. The deal today is on the lead horse, and normally I use him from very first day, so we've already done a lot of stuff, but I'll just touch in on that. Using the lead horse is so fantastic for us for many, many reasons. As we get older, our legs aren't as good as they once were. This beautiful boy here is in the prime of his life as a 13-year-old. He's a grandson of Highbrow Cat. He's all cow-bred, the one that I'm on. He's a wonderful individual. His name's Nate, and he rode with the horse in 2013, and I use him for my young horses all the time. This little fella here, a lot of people ask me about working a Mustang over other horses, what's the difference? He is a wonderful little horse, and in some ways he's very much like every other horse I've ever worked, but every now and then he just looks up into the mountains to make sure there's no cougars and that, so his mind's on me, and then his mind switches off. The reason I'm doing this so much today is he's quite stiff, and what I mean by that is he really wants to stay straight and stay almost rigid in his movement. And while he's doing that, there he offers some real softness in the belly, and he got really, really loose through that rib cage, and his inside hind foot got soft. So I can ride off away from that. This can all be done from the ground, but if you're working 7 or 8 horses a day, having a lead horse is just, they're an absolute gift to us. And not only that are they a gift to us, but it makes them be just really well-rounded horses. Every horse that I have, all my top Liberty horses, they do this job for me first. Mate does it always for me because he can't canter backwards and he can't canter in place. He can't ride riderless, saddleless collected like Hope, and he's not as funny as Denny, so this is his job in life because he is fantastic at this. But all my horses have done this at some point in their life because it teaches them a job and it makes them realise that liberty work is really quite easy and he should be happy to do it. So I just keep going back through that hind foot, and I'm trying to stay in the conversation with this little boy because he's a little bit like that dog off of that movie Up, where he's got a collar on that allows him to talk like a human, and every now and then he goes squirrel and he looks off. This fella here does the squirrel thing a bit, where you're having a conversation with him and then his mind just runs off up into the hills. So yesterday when I was riding, I was super happy with a lot of things, and then he would just get there, you see, he just looked off. Basically told me that there was only one person in the conversation, and that was me. So I just go back and just continue to work on this stuff here. And I'm doing more of this than I have to do because he is riding around, he's doing other things now. But this is what I use the ridden horse for so much. And right now you'll notice he's backing, and you can say, well, Guy, you're asking for that, but I'm not. See how he's headbutting me and he's pushing on me? As a human, we like to tell them off for that. A lot of people bump them in the face and they'll get angry at them. And what we do when we do that is we say, we are the predator that you fear us to be. So you'll notice if he headbutts mate, mate doesn't bite him. If he headbutts mate, mate doesn't punch him or kick him or scream at him like a predator does. He just ignores him and he keeps working until he's doing what we want. Because when a young horse, especially a Mustang, if he can upset the predator, so you pretend that there's a cougar or a mountain lion or a bear, if he was to come and try and eat Heath and Heath was to rear and to strike and upset him, the bear would go, oh, I'd rather get something that's not quite as hard to eat, and I'll go and get your mother, or I'll go and get your auntie, something that's a little bit older. So they are, it's intrinsic in the wild horse, as with every horse, it's intrinsic in them to say, if I upset the predator will go away. And so by kicking at them or punching them when they ride us, or when he reared up beside me and he rubbed his head all over me, he's trying to say, you're a predator, I'm going to upset you. And I just keep going, no, I'm not. I'm not a predator, I'm just like mate. We're just going to use this energy in the same way. If we use it for something else, we're going to get you to turn your mind onto something else. Today I have the bridle on him. It is my bridle halter set up that I have, and he needs to continue to be helped through the face, because when he feels pressure on the rein, he does a little bit of that tantrum thing that he's been doing, which is totally understandable. When we understand that to him, his only goal in life, he's not thinking about winning a ribbon, he's not thinking about a trophy, he's not thinking about the people he can impress, he's not thinking about anything but staying alive. And when we look at that, we can be a lot more respectful, because if all you're doing in your life is worried about staying alive, we need to be a little bit kinder and more thoughtful about how we do things. With mate here, he knows that it is about the ribbons, he knows that it is about the people, because if we go out and you get a standing ovation, mate, we get paid really well, and you get to live in the paddock while I fly to Australia, and life's good, isn't it? But he had to be taught that. It had to be something that was built into him. Mate is a very good, very well-bred cutting horse, and he's pretty handy. If I have to work a cow, he's okay. He wouldn't win the cutting maturity, but he can certainly go to work and be quite handy. So I'm going to take that off there and just see where this young horse is at. I worked him yesterday with my Liberty rope, which is just a roping rope that goes around his neck. Take that saddle off a bit, please, Lockie, in case he wants to jump. Right, and so this fellow is away from me now. He is disconnected to me. And I'm going to see if I can connect him back to that position that I had him yesterday. Now, yesterday I did it through the physical cue. You'll notice I just build up a tap here. So if you have horses in the pasture that are pushy on you, that's how you would approach them. You wouldn't get close to them and then smack them with a stick. Instead, you would go in. I've had a lot of people come to me here and say, Guy, my horses are coming out of the herd and they're chasing me and they're trying to bang into me. So I'm going to show you what I would do with that. I have my Australian stock whip, and I've not used this yet around Heath. And I'll tell you if I actually touch him with it. This is just the noise. So by doing this here, that gets Heath to think about it. I ain't going to reach out and touch him on the tail there. And just say, my dear boy, you need to go away. I touched him just on the butt of the tail there. And I do the same with the cow, just to have them move away. So you're better to come in if your horses are being aggressive to you. You're better to come in with a swinging rope like this than to get too close to them. Because if I wait until I'm right up in a kick position, or I'm right up in his face and then I do it, well then I'm going to be pushing on him. There he stopped. Now you could say he stopped just because he wanted to, but I sort of put myself in a body position to get that. I'm going to come in here and see if I can invite him to me. And as I get closer, this was about the position where I had the neck rope on yesterday. I'm telling him physically what to do. I don't have as much of a boundary on him. So you could say, well, that's what he wants to do, but it's very important that we teach him to be good to the physical pressure of the bridle. It's extremely important we do that, because if he doesn't keep his rider safe, he's not going to have a great life. So I have to teach him those things as well, but I can give him this also. I'm going to put my hand on his head and ride off. He's not concentrating on me, he was concentrating on the gate down there. But that's okay. If he stood still and I was able to go around him, that would have been the start of my standstill. So here I'm going to build up a tap, and if he gets in close enough to it, I'm going to let it touch him. But I'm not reaching out to have a go at him. I'm basically just a horse snapping my teeth. And if you let me get close enough and my teeth touch you, my friend, that's your decision, it's not mine. He hasn't been as good on this side, because we haven't done as much on this side, but we'll assume we like to work them on the right. It's where, have them be on their left-hand side. So I'm going to keep the whip up there and keep working until he starts to think down to me. And so this is not so much about his riding, this is about how I teach my liberty. But I have this great mount pen here made by Prefit, so it's wonderful to be able to show you that. When I went to Canada 2 weeks ago, I didn't have my own horses, so I had to perform in the night program, and I was able to work a 4-year-old and have him walk, trot and canter at liberty while I did a poem within 3 days, doing very much what I'm doing here. So you'll notice when he's off and away from me, I stop and I wait for him. Working at liberty, working with the rope around the neck, it has to be a conversation. It cannot be a dictatorship, because they can just run away. We had someone board the liberty rope in Canada, and they said it's fantastic when the horse is out in the circle, but when he stops and backs up, the ring just pops off his head. And I say, well, it's designed that way. It's designed so that we can't fight them, and like with a holder on, we can tie them to a tree and they can't get away, whereas unless they break it. Whereas with the rope around the neck, that's got a big loop in it, if they back up, you've got to go with them. You have to be more feeling and more thoughtful. So there's the beginning of that. There. I'm going to just stop and leave him be, and what I might do is see what happens if I drive the bus off a little bit. And the way we really build this work is say, where is it best for you to be? And he goes, well, nature just tells me I don't want to be around that other horse. And I want you to know too that liberty is really something that horses do from the day they're born. I want you to think about a mare has a little baby. That baby is born in 15 minutes or half an hour. He jumps up and runs beside mum's shoulder in a liberty position. No one taught him. No one told him. Just the pressures of life said, I've got to be near my mum. So this here is the pressures that I'm placing on here. And he says, you know what? To get away from those pressures when I was a little baby, I just run up beside mum. And I stayed by her shoulder. I never went past her, because if I went past her, she'd bite me on the bottom as I went, and then she'd turn around and go the other way. All good mums give us a little bite on the bottom every now and then. And so there I've got a lot more work to do if I was working on liberty with him, but I'm going to back away here and go the other way. I'm going to stop off here and I'm going to see where he wants to be. He's looking off, so I just say, my friend, I need to be more important to you than what you're looking at. People say that their horses are barn sour, their horses are buddy sour, they want to go with their friends. I take that personally. I'm your friend. Stay with me. I'm everything you ever need. Your other friends don't feed you. Your other friends don't pay for everything. They don't pay for your vet bills. They don't buy that nice blanket. I do all of that for you. So please, if you need to be buddy sour to me. Get connected to me and I won't leave you. So you need to take that personally. If your horse is so locked onto the other horses and he's scared to be alone, be that for him. But do what the other horses do. The other horses don't buy him sugar cubes and tell him how cute he is. They chase him away. They tell him what to do, and then they let him come back in. And it's a respect thing. It's wonderful to have our horses love us. I would I would love to think that my horses love me even a third as much as I love them. But I do know they respect me, and in that respect, they know that if I say something, I mean it. They know that I will follow through, and they know that the moment they give me these kind, thoughtful moments, that I will just be so proud of them and leave them be. And you notice the biggest thing I give him, people say you're not rewarding. They say that to me a lot. They say, "Oh, you don't reward." I'm rewarding now in a more powerful, strong and meaningful way than a sugar cube or a pat or a kiss will ever do. Horses want to be left alone. That's why they stand under the tree all day trying to sleep. They hate flies because they're annoying. They will allow another horse to rub on them, but only for a short while, and then they bump them and tell them to go away. Horses want to be left alone, and they want to be safe, so that's what I'm offering him here. He says he's busy, and then I can stop him being busy and I can get him to leave me alone just by coming up and walking by his shoulder. So he's training me to do that. And yes, I want to rub on him. I want to love on him. I want to tell him how great he is, because I'm a human and that's what we do. We tell people by that. We shake hands to say hello. We rub on them we cuddle. We do all those kinds of things. But here, he's not even thinking about me. He's off there, but I can give him a rub, and I know you all love this, because when I do it in my show, I get more claps when I love on him than when I look side pass over him or canter backwards, because humans love that attention. And you notice I'm rubbing on him more than I did yesterday, because yesterday he was chewing on us. He was biting on mate, and he was chewing on his neck, and because he was worried, there was a lot of people, but he was just, in our opinion as a horse, as humans, he was being a bad boy. But he was just being a young horse with too much energy, and so that's why I didn't tell him off. I didn't bump him in the mouth. I didn't tell him he was being bad. I just said, let me give you something else to do with your energy, because I know from working with thousands of your brothers and sisters, metaphorically, I know that if I use your energy well, tomorrow or the next day, you'll walk along respectful and thoughtful and kind to both of us, and that's what he's doing. There he left, so I'm going to say to you, how far do you want to be away from me? Remember what I said, they don't like it when we're busy. I get busy here. And I say, what a great idea. I'm so thrilled you left. And what a fantastic idea. And he goes, well, I wanted to. I don't know how to do this. I mean, I'm learning it, but it's not solid to me. But I've got my whip up here, and right now that's enough. Not annoyance, but it's enough for him to say, I want that to go away. So some other liberty trainers will raise the whip and teach the horses to stop when they do it. I raise the whip to teach the horses to move. This is like a horse that raises his energy to another horse. And then when he comes in and connects with me, I'm going to put the whip down. And I'm basically being like, even though I don't want to be a predator to him, a predator, when they make themselves big, the horses run away. When they lay down in the grass, the horses relax. So by taking that whip away, he comes and finds his softness. And you might say, Guy, you're not rewarding him. I am. I'm rewarding him so much more than if I was patting him. I'm rewarding him because I understand him. And I understand what he needs. And to be a good horseman, we have to be a good horseman, a good horsewoman. We have to know what motivates the horses. And this little boy here, 2 days ago, he couldn't do anything but drag me around on the end of the lead. He couldn't do anything but bite on my horse. And now I understand him, and he's travelling around with me, and I couldn't be prouder of you, Heath. And I'd love to give you a big cuddle, but I know you nip me and you would like it, so I'm not going to. Thank you. So I'm going to hop off and just see how solid that is, because this that I'm about to do is actually how I teach them liberty from the ground. So I've done everything from the back. You'll notice that I'm walking with a little bit of a limp. I'm actually 100. Give me the blue stick with the screen. I'm actually extremely limber and athletic, and I do somersaults and that in the hotel room, and I run, all the time. I'm just walking like this because all the world's best horsemen walk like this, and I'm trying to walk the walk. So I'm not sore at all. My hips aren't completely gone. This is just how horsemen walk. So here I'm going to send him around, and I've not done this before, but he does know. I've done it from the horse's back, haven't I? So here I'm going to stop. And if little Heath wants to go, he's basically jumped off the bus. I'm just going to let that whip fall on him. There was a great old horse from Australia called J.D. Wilton. He called this swinging in. A lot of the top competitive cow horse people, the cutters and rein cow horse, they'll do this with a cow. They'll have a cow stand here and they'll do this. So the horse has gone and connected a little bit. You notice he keeps looking up into the mountains, and that's okay. We're just going to keep getting his attention. And we need to realise, like people say to me, I've got a yearling that I want to get ready to be trained. Do I just do long walks with him every day until he's ready to ride? And I said, no, you mustn't. Because when we walk with a horse, and we just walk around with them, they're way too fast, and they have way too much energy, and they're way stronger than us. And if all we're doing is walking, they'll soon realise how weak we are as humans. So here, I can stand still, but he has to do the work. And right now, he's not thinking, he's just going, I've got all the energy in the world, I'll just keep running. I want him to start to look and say, why can't I be like him? Why don't I get to be like Nate there? So there he stops. I'm going to send him forward. And start to see, I want to get to where he doesn't want to pass. Now remember what I say about being a baby, that they run up beside mum, it's because of the outside pressures. So basically that's what I am. The outside pressures of the world that will go away when he gets beside his mum's shoulder. And he's starting to look in now. The real cowbred horses, they'll do this really quickly. They'll come up and put their nose on the back of the horse, and they'll come up on the shoulder. And the Australian stock horses, they'll push a horse around. Within about 3 minutes, they'll be up pushing them in a circle like they will a cow, like they're bred to. So I want to just see what happens here when I stop. And you saw me do it yesterday when I rode the gelding and mate stopped, and this little horse stopped beside him like a cow horse. That's what we're building in here too. If he goes past, he went to go past, and he just said, no, I'm too clever for that. I don't want to go a circle by myself. And I love that. I've got a big smile on my face because he's starting to outthink me. He's starting to go, no, I ain't going around there. I'm going to come in here. But it's not my idea, it's his. And don't worry, I want to go and cuddle him. My human heart wants to go up and give him the biggest hug. He's being a champion. But I know that he doesn't need it, and I know that this is better for him. That's his reward there. He's trotting beside a friend that can look after him and help him. I'm so proud of you, little fellow. I really am. My heart is full. I'm just so proud. Now, this still is not teaching him anything about giving to physical pressure. Don't think that liberty work is the be-all and end-all to great riding, because I know some of the best liberty horses in the world that can't be ridden. And that's why they become liberty horses, is because they're so adamant that they don't want to be rode, that the trainer found something else for them to do. But this is definitely connection, and it's the same kind of mindset as the riding in the gear, is that we want it to be their idea. People say to me, Guy, I don't know how to do liberty, how I do it. I'd say it's like training a good riding horse. All you're doing is putting them between the aids. And so the aids, when we ride, are our hand and our leg. The aids here is just forward, and if you go past, we go more. And this is really interesting because this is exactly what he did yesterday. I rode him and I thought, man, this horse is coming together, and then his mind just switched off. And then he comes back together again. So I'm going to lead mate off. And there's just so much, when we're doing this here, I mean, mate has been wonderful. I'm so proud of you, lad. But there's just so much for us to see and to understand about this, and to see what happens when I stop there. And what we do too is we don't go around doing the same thing expecting a different result. Something I say to Lockie a lot. Lockie's got a good work ethic. If you start something, he just keeps doing it. But I said, don't keep doing the same thing expecting a different result. So if he's running around 3 feet away, I can't just keep circling, waiting for him to change his mind. He stays in that mindset. But there he's in a good position, so I'm going to see if he'll hold that and step up to try. Having a great riding horse like this is just so very valuable in everything that we do. I caught mate's hind leg there. So on this other side, he's not going to understand this, but I'm going to send him to go the other way, because this will be the first time he's gone on this side. And this side, he's not as good. As he goes around it from the saddle, he's not as good. That's basically the same positioning with his saddle. So I'm going to see what happens here. That swinging in that I was talking about. He's trying to get back into the position, and most foals will pick a side on their mother. You quite often see them run the one side when they run them beside their mum. And they only run there until they start to put their big boy pants on and start to feel good about the world, and then they don't need mum anymore. And that's all this is, they do it early on because they need someone. And that's what we're trying to be to him. So we're trying to be someone for him to rely on, but to not come looking for, with any aggression or anything. Like, you can't have him doing that pushing, rearing, leaping stuff anymore, because that's not good for him and it's not good for us. So here I'm going to see what happens if I take this gelding and turn him. That's an inside turn, and that's really good. That shows you that he's connecting his mind. The beautiful chestnut gelding that I taught Liberty in Canada, they taught him to go around the fence and step into the fence because they want to work him as a cow horse. And so every time I turned him, he would turn away from me and turn towards the fence. Probably like this little fellow will do here. Now that was real neat. Really good. And they come and apologise to me and they said, oh, I'm sorry, we tell the horse to turn into the fence because we do all our cow horse turns into the fence. And I said, that's no worries, he will learn. But this is what we want there. I'm going to wait for him to think. And so you can see why the cutting trainers and that do this. That horse comes up and, thank you, you're being sweet. That horse comes up and finds position up on that cow and he's not being made to go there. Because what we don't realise about great cow horses is they are born scared of cows, like really scared. The very best cutting horses in the world, the first time they're ridden into a mob of cows, they squat down on their tummy and nearly fall over. They're quite frightened of them. And then as they get better and they get stronger with it, they get to where they can work them, and that's why they squat down and work in front of them, is because they've learned to override their fear. So doing this kind of stuff, locking them onto a cow where they can run away if they want to, come back if they want to. So I'm really grateful for this. As we go through life, we all love to have a plan, and when the plan doesn't go right, we quite often get upset about it. I did really, genuinely want to be riding this young horse around bridleless, working my Liberty team on day 3, but instead, I get to do what I've never done at Equine Fair, I should say. Sorry, I go to too many events. I get to do what I've never done. I get to teach a young horse right in front of you all how to work at Liberty on the ground and under saddle. So I'm really, really thrilled that he's shown up like this, because I've got to show you something that you haven't been able to see from me before. And in my mind, I thought you'd have clapped, but that's okay. Very nice. So that's real neat. So anytime he looks up, we want to get his attention. We don't get his attention by pulling on him. We get his attention by basically leaving the scene. With Mum, if we run off on Mum, if we went shopping, Mum would just go down another aisle and we'd look around and she'd be gone and we'd go, Mum, where are you? And we'd run back to her, whereas you'd quite often see the mothers who are fighting with their kids and screaming at them and pulling on them. The kids just become belligerent. But if Mum was to leave, drive home and wait a couple of hours, the kids would follow Mum a little bit better. I'm not telling you to do that, that is not parenting advice, you didn't hear it from me. So you might say, well, that's above what I can do. I had a lady buy a DVD off of me and say it's above her horsemanship level, and we'll give her money back if that's what she needs. But what we do is we go down and we just continue to go backwards in our horsemanship if we need to. I'm going to take that rope there. Throw that over. The reason I'm using the rope here and not the Liberty rope that I've been using is because I'm nearly sold out of them. I have one left here that we'll take back to the booth if people want to buy, and I think there's one left at the booth. But this here, I'll just show you can do this with just a rope, but the rope is tight. You can't get tight around his neck. So it's just got a knot in it so that it won't tighten down and choke around his neck. It won't have the same feel as the Liberty rope. The Liberty rope is a roping lariat. It's just got a little bit stronger feel, so it's like the difference between a rope round yard and a wonderful 3-foot round yard here. But you'll notice that rope around his neck is doing the same thing as the Liberty rope, and he has a fairly good understanding of that. So you'll notice he draws back and goes to the other side. So when I want to teach him one day to work in and be on this side, I'd have to change that, but right now I'm really happy with that. The great thing about using the Liberty rope or the rope around the neck is every time he goes to leave, I'm teaching more control off that outside rein, which is a neck rein. And the great thing with this too, if he really pulls back, this is the rope that I catch all my babies with. If he really, really fights me with this will just slip off of his head. So I can get to the stage in our training where we think we want to be tough on them. and this doesn't allow me to be it. There's a point where the horse would get free, and I kind of like that. I think we all should sometimes have a safe word, and the Liberty rope and even this rope here is kind of got a safe word. If things get a little rough, they can get out and away from it. So here I'm bringing him forward to me. Wonderful. So Lockie, bring the gear in for me, please. Are you feeling okay? Lockie, come over here. We went to the bridle fence, please. And if you need to go, don't. Just stay here and hold me. I'm joking. If you need to go, you go. Thanks, mate. So I'm going to pop the gear back on this little fella. And what I will do, because I mean he's locked on now, but I did that through that neck rope yesterday, and I did it through riding with the horseman's mirror on, and I will ride him today with the horseman's mirror again. When you first saw me put on this bridle setup, on the first day I put my halter on by itself, and then I put the bridle on over the top and I clicked it all in. Because this horse is day 3, I can do it, have it all together and place it on. And I can still go back to undoing it if I need to. People say, how long would you stay in the halter bridle combination? I mean, you could ride in this every day. If I was going to go and work cattle and I needed to tie my horse up, this is the deal that I would use, so I can tie up to the halter, because I can go to the bed, I can go back to the halter, I can go off to the halter underneath itself. Because in Australia we would ride our horses out and ride them in a snaffle. That's what they stay in their entire career in Australia as an Australian stockman. Because we can guide a horse through the bush at a flat gallop, and it's not as having the shank, you're not going to get caught on anything. With the shank you can get caught on stuff in the bush, so we ride in the snaffle the whole time. We do tie up with the bridle, but if you're worried about that, having this set up, you've always got the halter to go back to tie up. You'll notice this little fellow is just getting nicer to be around in this position. I couldn't stand here for very long in the last 2 sessions without him reaching to nip me or to basically push on me. And so all I've done to stop that is I've just said, mate, we've got to go to work. And so he's starting to go, the energy I used to waste by nipping at you and biting at you, I can't waste it now, because I might have to trot up beside you gelding. I might have to carry you around this arena. I better start saving my energy. So when we're at Preeford, back at the Mount Pleasant, we go to the horses every day, and there's a train station there, or a train track I should say, and we often have to stop there. About 60 trains go through there a day to pick up stuff from the Preeford plant there. And on all those carriageways, there's hundreds and hundreds of carriages with graffiti all over it, and none of it makes sense. I'm a poet, none of it's poetry. It's just symbols and that, and I'm sure it means something to the people who put it there, but I don't feel enriched as I read them as they go past. And so I said to Emily one day, I said, you know what, I could fix that. And she said, what do you mean? She said, I could fix those people that want to do that. They want to go out at 3 o'clock in the morning and spray paint those trains. She said, what would you do? She just said, I'd send them with my brother Cameron. Cameron's up in the morning at 5 o'clock. He works all day at a range of different things. He's an absolute workaholic. And then he gets to the end of the day and he walks into the house and passes out on the couch, covered in grease. I think he's actually got a couch with a plastic cover on it. And then up in the morning he's gone again. And I said, if you sent them with him, maybe the first day they'd do a full day and they'd complain and they wouldn't like it and they would say how bad it was. And then maybe they'd get up at 3 in the morning and they'd go and they'd paint a train. They might paint 3 trains in the first day. And then by the end of the week, I'll bet you any money that they're learning about a work ethic and they're learning how to get a job done. And I'll guarantee you that not one of you would be out painting trains, because they'd have something else to do with their energy. So for the first 2 days, this little fellow was a bit of a graffiti artist. He wanted to use his energy for the things that he wanted to use it for. And now he's using it for things that are valuable to me. And not only valuable to me, but ultimately valuable to himself. Something that I've found with working him is that we get into conversations with him that are strong. It's working with this little fellow is a little bit like talking politics. That's never smooth when you talk politics. Someone's always got an opinion that's different. We quite often get into a little bit of a row when we talk politics, and a lot of us stay away from them. But by teaching him this kind of stuff, he's learning to see my side of it, and I'm learning to see his side. We're starting to realise that, none of it's good, but if we can do the very best with what we've got. So yesterday he had a lot of trouble in moving his hind foot away, and you'll notice I keep my right hand very still until he starts to put his mouth on me. When he puts his mouth on me, I get out of his way. So I raise my hand above his muzzle, or I take my hand away and I get back into that position. I don't just stay in there rubbing on him or punching on him or telling him he's being naughty. There he just, I'm not going to say anything politic, but he basically was on the other side from me on that one. But I just stayed with him, and I stayed with him and say, my dear friend, just come back and find that softness. And what I do love about him, what I really appreciate about him, is that what we work on today, he does come back and do tomorrow. He's not a horse that probably learns extremely quickly in the moment, but whatever I put in his bucket, there's no holes in the bucket, it stays there. Because we can have horses that allow us to do incredible things in a session. They just give us everything and it feels amazing, and the bucket's full, and then you go and you come the next morning and all of the knowledge has fallen out, there's holes in the bucket. So with this little fella here, he's quite solid. Whatever we put in there stays in there. Now, I did crack the whip before as a reason for him to go away. Here I'm going to crack it today and ask him to be with me. Now, I have my hand over here, but if he goes to leave, I'm going to let that rein slip a little bit, because if I really fight on him, he's going to get himself upset. So I let him slip about 6 inches there, but I'm holding onto that rein much like the drag on a fishing line. I'm not looking at him, and the reason I'm not looking at him is I don't want him to think this is for him. This is just life. Thank you. So here, I'm going to come closer to him, and now I'm going to start to look at him. Anytime he gets worried, I'm going to look away from him. Don't want him to think this has got anything to do with him. This is just life happening around him. The team that I have here is so fantastic. The older horses I've got, they've just been everywhere and done everything. So when we go to ride into the arena and there's those trains going past and all that stuff, a young horse, it's just so much to them. And my horses go, it's just life. Because they've learned to handle it. This little boy's now. Good boy, little man, very proud. All right, so what we'll do now is we'll put, give me just a minute, please, Lockie. I'm going to put this on him and I'm going to continue to work with this. I don't feel like I can take it off and ride him on bridleless in the open, and that's okay, but I'm going to continue to help him. Yesterday, he's getting better and better. I'm forgiving to that. And I want you to explain why I use this. Is because if I stand here and bend this little boy, and he has to get better at bending through his body. If I stand here and bend him, you'll notice he's moving his feet, which I really want. It's his feet that we must be able to control. But he can give his nose all the way here, eventually he'll stand still. He can give his nose all the way here and not move his feet. He can't give to that rein around his neck and not move his feet. I'll explain that once we get this here. You'll notice how I keep my feet out of the way and I walk in time with him. Lockie has a younger body than me. He's an 18-year-old. He's a lot faster than me. I've been racing him on my scooter and he beat me twice and then he blew his calf out and I can beat him now. But you'll notice that I keep my feet out of the way. If Lockie did this, he'd get stepped all over. And the way that you get really good at this is you get stepped all over and then get better. So there he's giving his nose all the way to the left without any control over his feet. Watch this rein come in contact. If I can move that rein 1 inch, I have to have a foot. In the back up here, like I can take hold of this little boy and just see what he's doing. There he gave his nose to give it the bridle, and I've gone into his stall on 3 occasions to teach him this. Just backed him into the corner and I've waited with my hands. But he's not moving his feet. So I can pick up on that rein around his neck and say, I love where your head is. Now I need you to move your feet. And I'm pulsing. I pick up and I pulse. I'm in and out of that. It is a constant conversation where we know that, see, our conversation is, we say something, we wait for the other person to nod before we talk. That's what we're looking here. I'm looking for him to go, I get it. There. Very good, man. All right, so we'll leave beautiful boy there, bring my stool to his Lockie. So I'm going to try and ride him a little bit today out by himself. Lucky when I leave, he's going to put the beautiful gelding out there for me at Liberty. And I'm going to move him around. I haven't ridden this boy out by himself yet. I've had the other horse to pull him around, so today I want to do that by himself. I'm not going to do that yet. It's hard for Lockie to hear out here, but I don't want you to do that until I go out. Can I have the one with the little leather pocket, please? So Lockie has hopped on this beautiful boy several times from me from the ground, and I've hopped on several times from the back from this box here. He wants to back away and move. Today's not the time for me to fix that. If I really wanted to, I would go on and ride him and then work on that at the end of the session. And some people say to get on and sit on them for quite a while without asking to do anything. I don't want to do that myself because I don't want him thinking that we get on and we get no forward movement. Here I'm going to see what happens if I pick up on that neck rope. Because yesterday when he was running off and I picked up on the bridle, he got really offended. Thank you, Lockie. I really appreciate that. So Lockie, in the past, I'd have to tell him to take that box out. He goes, Dad needs it. Not Dad, I'm not his father. I'm pretty sure I'm not his father. And his mum's lovely, but I didn't know her back in that time. So I'm going to ride around here. And Lockie took that out for me because he knew. He said that's something that he needs. I'm going to sit. And I didn't even get to pick up on him there. And you can go, well, that's just because he's lazy. He might be lazy, but he's not even lazy. It might be this idea, but yesterday he was running off on me too. So, he could do that if he wanted to. So when he goes, the little fella sort of likes to lift up the canter, like he's jumping a little jump. And Lockie said, Guy, what do you think that is? Because at home we were told that that's just a powerful canter departure. I said, yeah, if I was gathering him up in the face, tapping him with the whip, he would be expected to do that. But because I was just asking him to flow forward, oh, you're amazing, you're so amazing. Because I was expecting him just to flow forward, it's like he has a little a mental block, and what he's doing is he's jumping that mental block, or he's kind of pushing. It's like there's a paper wall in front of him, and he has to almost jump through that wall. There, he didn't do it today. Now I'm going to take my two reins and widen them. And that was a stop from my seat and my bridle. It wasn't just my seat. Here I'm going to do it just my seat alone. But now I'm going to do it, if I don't ride him properly, what would happen if I just pulled on him? So that we need to be able to do both, because when we panic, when we get scared, what do we as humans do? We go to the bridle and we go to pulling on him. So I don't want him to have to deal with that, but he just might have to. So mate, if we just pull on you, what would it look like? And so I'm going to do that again here. I'm even going to lean forward on him and have no seat. Just because we're silly. I'm sorry, but humans, we do silly things sometimes. And I want you to be able to understand that. But you'll notice if we sit properly and we do what we'd all think that we'd like to do, and we come down here and sit, we don't need to do all that other stuff. But I want you to know both. I want to really prepare you. Thank you. Actually, you can step away, Mummy. Thanks, mate. I'm just looking at my watch. I've still got almost another half an hour, 40 minutes. So why don't I open it something? I won't shut it, but I'll open it and you can shut it. Now, what I'm going to be doing here today is something that I never do at home, but I've got Lockie to help me. At Road to the Horse, when I competed, I made sure I shut the gate because, boy, did we get in trouble at home if we went through the gate and didn't shut it. It's an absolute no-no on a property. So I'm very aware when he comes out here that if he goes there and bumps my foot, I'll make sure I don't get anything caught up there. I don't need to spend more time on that. Thanks, Lockie. So you can take his gear off now, buddy. And so I'm going to ride him out here, and I'm going to work on, when I take this left rein now, I'm going to start to use my horseman's mirror as a neck rein. So the neck rein is to talk to the outside front foot. So the inside rein is supposed to talk to the inside front or the inside hind. If I take my hand to my hip, I'm talking to the inside hind. I take my hand out here to the inside front, and the outside front comes in with that neck rope. And I want to make sure that whenever I touch that neck rope, no more forward, little boy. I'm just going to see what happens today too, because yesterday when he ran off on me and chased the gelding and got himself scared, and he just went to running, he didn't like me helping him through his face. Good boy, little man. So I know he's going to want to go running off down this side back to the area, so I'm going to let him ask him to go there. I'm going to pick up on the neck rope. Oh man, he is such a good boy. He's such a good boy. So yesterday when he ran off there, he took me all the way down the end and he fought in the face and he struggled. Now, I'm going to see what happens if I just do it in the face here. Try for me, little fella. So that was all off the face. So even though I used the neck rope, he has remembered from yesterday to get off with his face as well. So he's just a great little horse. And I did say to the owner and to the lovely lady who's going to go on with his training, it might get to where he doesn't do that tomorrow. But when he ran off yesterday worried, I don't want that. I don't want anyone telling him to stop when he's scared. So I'm going to go there. He's sort of running there. I'm going to pick up on my neck rope here. And you'll notice he went to get angry in the face. And so I picked up on the neck rope. I'm going to throw those reins away. You're a great little man. Good boy. So the great thing about the neck rope is if he's not listening to it, he won't upset him. He'll just run off with you. And you'll have a nice little handle to hold on to. But if he's listening to you, you'll be safe and you'll really give to it. So, you know, I have people send me the videos of them with their young kids riding with the neck rope. The young kids are basically using it as a monkey handle to hold on to. And I'm thinking, oh, that's not what I designed it for. But they loved it because the kids weren't pulling on the horse's mouth. That was all off the neck rope. And the hero pulls in and out. It's very important that he takes the bridle as well, because that's a physical gift there. My little boy, I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud. And I'm just so thrilled, you know, the wonderful people said, Guy, why did you choose a Mustang? And I said, oh, because he looked like Nugget. My beautiful old stallion Nugget looks just like, he doesn't look like him anymore because he's 28 and he's got no teeth and he's got a white hair on his face, but he looked very much like the stallion Spirit off of the movie Spirit, a cartoon movie. And so when I saw him, I said, oh, well, he looks like Nugget. I picked with my heart a lot. But the main reason that I did it, and actually when I first saw the photo of him, I didn't even know he was a Mustang. I just saw a little buckskin, but I was more than happy when I found out that he was, because all the Mustang says to me is young horse. And if anything, just truer to natural instincts than some of the others that it's been bred out of a little bit. But I tell you what, there's moments where he feels as nice to me as others. I mean, those little rein and bred cow horses, they can slide and turn around more natural than some, but it's a level of try. Here he's starting to stay in between my aids. I can pick up there and move his shoulder. And I'm not doing anything with my leg, even though I have a spur on, I'm not using it. I'm just riding him around and saying outside front foot, inside front foot, outside front foot. You are the coolest little horse. And thank you. And what I'm loving too is the clapping's not scaring him now. So this has been so valuable for him because Kathy loves him so much and she wants to push him and tell everyone how wonderful the Mustang is, and he's going to be in front of people. So for him to learn this is very valuable because the very best horses in the competition world, the really feely, thoughtful ones, they hate clapping and cheering, and a lot of them even need earplugs to get over it. So starting them under the pressures of this is actually really, really great for them because he's just going, well, that's just what life is. And my suggestion would be in his training going forward, like train him at home for sure, but get him into these situations safely, like in a round pen and stuff like that. But please don't go and try and ride him down the midway, but get him in safe situations and put him in amongst these pressures early as you can. Because then he learns. Sorry, I had to stop talking because I can't stop smiling. What a great little man. He's just wonderful. I've ridden little rein and bred horses that don't try any harder than that to turn around. They're just very, very strong with it. So like you can go in there, mate, and I just want you to open the gate right up and walk past mate like you don't want him. As you can see, mate is extremely wild and energetic and just fiery for the run. Just open gates mean fly out and run home. I will go through it and they do know not to go out of open stalls and stuff, so I'm more than happy with that. I'm going to come out here and see if I can get in those positions that I got in yesterday. This is the skills of the stock to get behind that target. You'll notice when I use the horseman's mirror, I'm using the exact same amount of pressure. The bridle and the neck rope are engaged at the same time. If I feel that he's going to be too explosive in the face, I'll go more to the neck rope. If I feel like I want to engage the rein more, I'll go more to the rein, just a shorter hand. So I'm going to push him out here. And what I'm going to do, if he goes to run off, I'm not going to pull on him. I just widen my hands and make my base strong and invite him back. You notice with the wide hand, as soon as I bring my hands back together again, I don't have to change anything. But if we pull like this, when we pull this way, we often go over their shoulders. So he wants to reach out and go. Then I'm going to see if I can start to move mate around here like a good riding horse would. He wasn't following mate then, he listened to me beautifully. There, he's listening to me. He's wanting to look up at mate, look at his shoulder. He's wanting to go with his shoulder to mate. So I'm going to take him past here. And yesterday he was doing this, but today he does it with more passion because I've taught him to stop when that gelding stops. So now I'm going to push away again. Make a little bit of noise with my mouth, not enough to upset you all because I can't stand it when trainers get it. It's too much for me to hear all the time, but I'll use it a little bit. So I'm going to pull away here. I'm going to ride him off and I'm going to get him to stop as square as I can. Because he wants to go to mate there, I just say, I love you, little man. This is an opportunity for me to ask you to stay between my aids. Having a horse run off and chase another horse is great, but it's no good if they do it just their way. They have to do it for us. Now I'm going to get up on this outside hip and ask him to canter. And all that noise in my mouth is just keep doing more. And that's beautiful. He's not running off at all today. Really come back to me and ask him to. Yeah, he will. Let me go play again. Well, I said to young Lockie, I said, I was a little bit worried with him, mate, with how he's running off and that. I'm not sure about today. I could have had my Liberty horses in and with the whole team is how good he's going. But I'm really grateful for this, because if I did that, I wouldn't have gone and worked him at Liberty. You wouldn't have been able to see how I do that. This is beautiful. He feels so connected to me. I'm not saying that he won't run off ever again, but he's starting to respect my aids, my reins, my neck rope, much more than he's respecting his fear. This here is just like I said yesterday, it's how we teach one to chase a cow. Get up on this outside hip and just find that position. This is a cow horse position. Oh, I love that because he should be wanting to get in behind him, but he let me peel away here to control it. Now, if I was riding a more finished horse, I'd have run up to his eye and put him back on the pen. I'm going to go past here. It's just like a little cow horse. It's so neat. So I've had, people say that they love the Mustangs. They say you can do anything. Oh, you had enough running around. They say you can do anything with a Mustang that you can do with any horse. I totally agree with you. You can. This horse will work a cow. This horse will jump a jump. This horse will go out and give you everything that he has, but he can only give it to the level that he can give it. Same as our great Australian stock horse. He'll do 8 different disciplines in one day. He won't beat the warm blood in the dressage world. He won't beat the quarter horse in the cutting. He won't beat the Arab in the endurance. You go and have a crack at all of it. And I tell you what, I see that in the Mustang. I see that in, I may not be able to do everything, but I certainly have a go at it. And that's what's so important. Is as we go along and we go looking for that forever partner. If you're looking for a horse to go to the Olympics in dressage, I'm sorry, but he's not your boy. Neither's mate. Mate is bred to work a cow. This little fella though, if you want a companion, if you want a friend, if you want someone to believe in you, look after you, I'd have him over any of those others. When you ride Warm Bloods, they're incredible. Like this little bloke here, he sees stuff that's way off in the distance. And I love Warm Bloods, and I'm not picking on them, I love them. But you can ride them up to a stump that's been there for 50 years, and he won't see it until he's nearly standing on it, and then he runs away from it. This little horse here would see it from a kilometre away, and he would already have it in his mind by the time he got there that it wasn't scary anymore. So I'm not pulling any breed down. All I'm doing today is lifting this little breed, lifting this incredible little horse, because I'm so proud of him. I've ridden a lot of horses, and I'm loving him just as much as I love the others. He's just been wonderful. And look at him coming out and trotting along with my boy. This is the horse that couldn't keep his mouth off the other one. He thought he was a carnivore 2 days ago, and now he remembered that he's a herbivore. And he's trotting along with Nate beside him. And Nate, you've been wonderful. I'm so proud of you, because when you go, when this horse here, when he works in my team, I'm gonna tell you the absolute truth, because I am the man of truth. When I started Nate rode with the horse, the first 2 days he found everything really hard and he had no try. And then he came out and he won on day 3, and I thought, oh, thank goodness, and I bought him because he was a world champion and I wanted to have him. And then I took him home and he had no try. I just had to work so hard to get everything done. And I don't mean to be rude, but I've said this to him on several occasions, and it's lucky he doesn't speak English because it might have hurt his feelings. But I said, mate, it's so lucky that you won a world championship at Cold Start, because you couldn't have won it in anything else. You don't try hard enough. He is my best lead horse. He is my best companion for this, and you are a superstar. And I'm so proud of him. Because his lack of desire, his lack of trying to move, his lack of everything is what makes him so valuable with this. If I had Spinnerby out here, he'd be doing flying changes and galloping around the arena. He'd be in my way, he'd be trying to help me too much. Mate goes, you do you, Dad, and call me when you need me. So I used to wonder if, that was the only thing you'd be a world champion at. If there was a world championship for lead horses, mate, you'd be that as well. I'm so proud of you, brother. You're a champion. So there's more things that I can do. He's barely even sweated today. Yesterday he sweated up a lot. And if you watched me, you would have heard me say that sweat is weakness leaving the body. Like when we go to the gym and we don't sweat, they get angry at us and tell us that we need to have one. And that doesn't mean they have to sweat every day. Mate's not sweating because he's mentally and emotionally fit. He's not physically fit, but he's mentally and emotionally fit. This little fella here is learning to do that as well. He's getting mentally and emotionally fit, and so he's not having to physically fit yet as much. But I look down at my watch and I've still got some time, but you know in your heart when you ride, and you need to listen to your stomach and you need to listen to your heart. I want him to come back tomorrow and go, what did I do to finish a little earlier? What did I do to get him off a little quicker? So though I can do more, I want him to remember this. This is the last time I'll probably ever see you, Heath. I'll probably never get to put my hands on you again. But I want you to know, and I'm not going to cuddle on him because he'll headbutt me in your neck. So it's just from my heart to his now. I'm so proud of you. What you've shown me over the last 3 days tells me you've got an incredible future. Your mum loves you so much now. I don't know if she loves her partner anymore than she loves you, the way she looks at you. And I hope that she can love him as much, because you are so loved already. I want you to continue to earn that. I want you to come out and give your best every day, and I hope to see you at one of these events in the future, being an incredible ambassador for your breed, like I try to be for mine. Thank you so much for letting me share this with you. It's been a special 2 days for both of us. We'll be over at the Celeste building. I'm going to have my training ropes and that over there. I do have, as I say, I have two more of those Liberty ropes, and I'll actually bring the one that I've been training you with over there that you can purchase, and I'll actually take this one over here as well. This one's already started 3 or 4 horses, so it should have memory. We'll see you in the Celeste building, and thanks so much for letting me share with you. We'll hope to see you this afternoon. Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't start this horse by myself. This young man here put the bridle on my horse, gave me the first ride to Rotary again yesterday. Please give Lockie a big round. Thank you so much. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you can still hear me. There's things that people keep coming to me. I've had this asked about 5 occasions here this weekend. They said, I can't catch my horse in the paddock. And I say, well, can you send them down to your round yard? And they say, no, I don't have a round yard. Every great horse person in the world has a pen, something like this. One lady told me that you can't catch a horse in the open, and I said, you put a round yard in the corner and catch her, and she said, I don't have the money. And yet she sent the horse to a trainer for 4 months to get the horse to be caught in the open, and she couldn't. So I said, you should have saved your money and bought a good round pen. All the great horsemen in the world have a great bridle, a great saddle, a great round pen. You know, if you want to be a great horse person, please invest in that, because that right there is such a valuable tool. I just wanted to let you know that if it's good enough for the professionals you look up to, please equip yourself so that there's no excuses going forward.